a hot take for you, if you will. Colonization. It's pretty great. I am, of course, talking about Europa Universalis 5 and the colonization that you can do in the game where you go to the New World and you send your pops over there and then you pull goods and goods that you're not able to acquire in the Old World back to the Old World to delight your populations with. And I'm sure there is absolutely no negative repercussions that will ever occur from this endeavor. Just ignore the people on the floor here. They're sleeping. It's sleep. They're sleeping. Don't worry about them. No repercussions. It's all gonna be just fine. Yes, today we're going to be talking about two of the situations that will occur in Europa Universalis 5 when you do a little bit of the whole colonialization game. We're of course talking about the Treaty of Tordesillas and the Great Pestilence. Before we get into that though, if you are excited about this game as much as I am and you want to pre-order the game, there is a link in the pinned comment where you can use my code Lord Lambert on the Paradox store, and I get 12% of any sale that's made via that, which is very generous of Paradox indeed. You do get a Steam key, so it's not going to be missing out on anything on that front, but it just helps me out, helps the channel out, and yeah, just a good way if you want to show your support. That's kind of cool. I just noticed in this artwork, by the way, bro's just on a ledge. He's dying on a ledge up here. It looks interesting. Either way, let's get into the dev diary. Or I should specifically say Tinto Talk now, because as of 41 minutes ago, they have started doing actual dev diaries. We're going to get to this in a moment. We're going to get to this at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to have a chat about this. But for right now, we're going into Tinto Talks number 78. We're going to be talking about the two situations that may happen in the mid-game that are related to the discovery of America by foreign powers, the Treaty of Tordesillas, and the Great Pestilence. So let's start off with the Treaty of Tordesillas. It may be triggered after the Age of Discovery starts, so later than 1437. This does not mean that it will start in 1437. This is not like EU4, where if all of the conditions are met, the year of a new age rolls around and you get it immediately, or within a year or whatever if you're unlucky. This is not that case. The Age of Discovery starts in 1437, but to actually get, you know, the Treaty of Tordesillas, you're going to actually have to go to the New World, when at least two Catholic countries with their capital in Europe hold any location, or at least one subject each in America. So this is not happening in 1437. There will be comments, I'm sure, about 1437 too early. 1492 is when, you know, Christopher Columbus went across and discovered the Americas. I wouldn't worry about it. I really wouldn't worry about it. I'm sure as a player, you have foreknowledge that there's land over there. You have foreknowledge that there is empty land over there for you to go and exploit, and if you, you know, bum rush it, beeline it, of course you're going to be able to get there earlier than 1492. I don't think this is something worth worrying about, per se, and I'm also totally fine if the colonization and the exploration happens a little earlier than 1492 as well. Of course, when the Age of Discovery starts, that spawns institutions. These institutions will then unlock technologies that you can then research that will be able to, you know, get you over to the New World. So again, this isn't going to happen in 1437. Seriously, don't worry about it. Anyway, with that out of the way, we're going to use an example of Castile having a colony in Hispaniola and Portugal having a colony in Brazil. This is the event that will trigger the situation itself, our share of the world. Our expansion into the lands of Bavaro have not passed unnoticed by the people of the Kingdom of Portugal. They are also expanding their holdings in Mairi, and are quickly becoming a competitor for the best land and harbours of the coastline of America. If nothing is done, the situation will inevitably lead to a conflict between our countries, as both strive to get the best trade routes and resources. Instead, we could hold a meeting where diplomats and statesmen can conceive a solution that divides the new lands fairly and pleases both parties. So, Treaty of Tordesillas was signed on the 7th of June, 1494 in the Castilian town of Tordesillas. I will point out as well, the treaty itself is named specifically on localization of the location itself. So if you rename the town of Tordesillas to Tortillas, or literally anything you want, it will then become the Treaty of Tortillas. It's kind of funny. By the diplomats Isabella I of Castile, Fernando II of Aragon, and King John II of Portugal. This accord divided the new lands discovered in the New World and waters of the Atlantic Ocean with an imaginary line 370 miles west of Cape Verde, to avoid a conflict between both factions. This treaty defined the territories west of the line as rightfully belonging to Castile, and the lands east of it to Portugal, disregarding any native peoples already living on it. So you can go to Valladolid, you can go to Lisbon, Tordesillas, or Maura. Very nice. The country that gets the event will have the option to decide where to have the meeting to discuss about the treaty. The locations available are the capitals of the two countries, a bordering location, and an American one. The treaty will take the name of the selected location. Very cool. So if you put it in the Valladolid, you will have the Treaty of Valladolid, which is kind of cool. So, this is the same event. And then you get, okay, if you are not the first person to get to the event, you just get the option, can you join? It looks like you haven't got the option to say no, which is interesting. But yes, you will go and join this meeting. This way, the situation will start. The treaty was signed in Valladolid by the Crown of Castile and the Kingdom of Portugal. It establishes a set of rules and rights that allow the two powers to claim exclusive rights to the colonization and exploitation of any newly discovered lands on the continent of America. So we have a situation breakdown. Origin of the line is Bavaro. That's the colony, I believe, right? They were talking about Bavaro. Yes, here it is. Their holdings in Bavaro, yes. State of the treaty, it is being discussed. So you have different periods of the situation going on. So you've got main actions. You can claim areas, claim conflicting areas, revoking your claims, push to settle the treaties, shift the line, and exchange sides as well. A location will be set in a fixed point to divide the world, and from that point onwards, each of the countries will have a sphere of influence in which it will be able to claim areas. The areas in which the initial colonies will be granted to each country, and from there on, they will be able to claim areas that are adjacent to these initial claims. If two colonies were present in the same area, then the claim a conflicting area would be available to both countries. You can also try to revoke a claim from the other country, but that requires to request it from the Pope. The claims ban colonization by other Catholic countries, but you will still have to colonize those areas using the regular game mechanics. Now this is, in my opinion, where this kind of falls apart. Not falls apart, but I feel this is a very negative part for me. Bans colonization by other Catholic countries. It should not ban colonization by other Catholic countries. It just shouldn't. For example, and this was brought up by Archangel Gabriel on my Discord, the King of France, Francis I, said, "The sun shines for me as it does for others. I would very much like to see the clause of Adam's will by which I should be denied my share of the world." The French did not pay any heed to the Treaty of Tordesillas. The British did not pay any heed to the Treaty of Tordesillas. This, I think, a hard ban, a hard limit, a hard you simply mechanically cannot do this to other Catholic countries is just not something I feel is correct. If this means that it's slower, or if this means you piss off the Pope and the treaty ratifiers, then sure, that's fine. Having consequences for breaking the treaty, sure. But banning outright, I just do not think is correct. Because if we think about it in mechanical terms, if this is a full ban, France, Catholic in the game. Obviously Catholic for the entirety of the game. They never, like, changed their religion to Protestant. We have the French taking, like, Louisiana, which is a part of the line. You know, it's It's west of the line. They took parts of Canada. West of the line. So, in real life, France gave no shits about the Treaty of Tordesillas. They violated it. Which is, I really hope that this is not a hard limit. Claiming an area, here it is. You can spend prestige on that. If you claim a conflicting area, the Papal States gains favors from Portugal and loses opinion of Portugal to ask if Portugal asks for it. You also spend 20 prestige on that. You can revoke a claim. Is this revoking? It's revoking someone else's claim. You can't revoke your own claim, it seems. So you can convince the Papal States to revoke one of the active claims of our co-signatory, moving the negotiation back to a point where we have the leading role. Kind of cool. And this requires you to spend papal influence, or I think it's called papal influence, the currency in the Catholic Church IO. Also costs you some money as well. Tapios is east of the imaginary line centered on Mairi that the Treaty of Tordesillas will use to divide the world. Once the treaty is ratified, this location will be claimed by the Kingdom of Portugal. Okay. And here, Guajara has been claimed by Portugal. Besides that, there are 3 more actions related to the treaty line. You can shift the line to a different location, or exchange the sides. When the progress to ratification of the treaty is 100%, a new phase will start, and you can use the Push to Settle treaty to speed it up, making use of our influence over the Papal States to speed the ratification and entry into force of the Treaty of Valladolid on its current form. So you can push to settle, and it will increase the progress by 10. Shifting the line. The current split determined by the Treaty of Valladolid does not favour us as much as it should. We should shift the line, separating the world a bit further to our advantage, and make it clear to the world. Made it clear to the world that we are not to be trifled with. It'll be moved to a new location, and then it goes, progress goes back a little bit. Fair enough. And that is where it is on the UI. And then exchanging sides. It becomes clear to us that our rivals' share of the world is much better than ours. We use our reputation and prestige to try to convince them that this is in their interest to swap our claims with theirs. And then it obviously goes back again. You're spending prestige and papal influence again. When the new phase starts, the world will be divided between the 2 signatory powers, including both the already claimed areas and their respective half of the world. New actions will also be available. Alright, so this is the progress bar as well. You can violate the treaty in this situation. You can uphold the relevance, exchange claims still again, and demand the transfer of claimed provinces. In this phase of the situation, other Catholic countries that have discovered America will now be able to participate in the situation and will have some of these actions available to them, while others will be restricted to the 2 signatory countries. Okay, so this is how France can violate it. But gaining antagonism, I think it's antagonism specifically on, like, this would be Portugal obviously, but if France violates it, is it not Lisbon and Madrid, or whatever the capital of Spain happens to be at the time? Also, what does violate the treaty do? It's not there. Violate the treaty. Hover over violate the treaty. Okay. Treaty of Valladolid is nothing more than a piece of meaningless paper for the people risking their lives in an attempt to carve a better future for themselves in an ungrateful and dangerous new land. We'll ignore these rulings and allow our people to take what is right, their right to have. So I guess violate the treaty. Is this something like allows colonization in claimed land? Like, is that a modifier? I guess. You can uphold the treaty relevance. Increase it by 10 for some papal influence, and then exchange claims. And then you're just swapping areas back and forth as well. Demand the transfer of claimed provinces, papal influence, and then you get your land, or if they reject, then you get a CB for it. The relevance of the treaty decreases monthly, and then additionally by each time it's violated. The situation will end when its relevance goes down to 0. At that moment, the ban on colonization and the claims will disappear, and all Catholic countries will be free to colonize wherever they want again. So as France, surely the play is... I mean, you're spending prestige and you're spending papal influence that you could use to, like, patronize a saint, for example, or a prestige is just good to have anyway. And gaining antagonism, I don't know. I don't know. If it's just the signatories, if it's just Portugal and Spain, or Portugal and Castile, that are not enjoying this and have that antagonism against you for violating it, fine. I don't know whether I would say it should cost papal influence, though. Like, boost the antagonism, but remove these costs, and I think it'd be just perfectly fine. Because I don't think it's not anti-prestigious to colonize in violation of a treaty you had no part in signing. Right? It seems a bit weird to me. Oh no, the Pope needs to be convinced that I'm not asking the Pope to do it. I'm not gonna use my influence over the Pope to say I'm just gonna colonize here. I'm just gonna do it anyway. I don't care what the Pope thinks. Maybe the Pope can also get the antagonism, which is something that you might want to avoid, because if the Pope is very much not liking you, he can excommunicate you, which is pretty bad, I say out of experience. So yeah, have antagonism on the signatories and the Papal States. Being the Papal States is enough, I think, of a something that you want to avoid, that you might think twice about violating it as France. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. But otherwise, really cool, and it's much, much nicer than the one we have in EU4. Like, Treaty of Tordesillas and EU4 is crap. This one is pretty damn good. I like it. But on to the Great Pestilence. It's a situation that portrays the numerous diseases brought by the European colonizers to America after 1492. As such, it will trigger after the first European colonies have been established in the New World. A mysterious plague is ravaging the natives in... Nice that you chose something I can't pronounce. Salvaleon de Higuey. Higuey's on Cuba, right? I'm pretty sure that's correct. Salvation on Higuey. Yep, that's it. It's infecting the indigenous population at an alarming rate, independently of their class or piety. The disease is unpredictable and deadly. Deathly? Probably needs changing. Sometimes producing fevers and rashes, sometimes vomiting or delirium, and almost always ending in death. The speed of the contagion and morbidity of the symptoms is leaving our doctors perplexed and impotent. There's little else we can do besides deliver last rites and dig graves. So, the Columbian Exchange... Yeah, the flavor text is incorrect. This is talking about the Columbian Exchange, which is a completely separate situation. I feel like that needs changing. Let's read this one instead. Terrible news reach... Oh, that's basically what we just read. No, it isn't. Terrible news reaches us from abroad. Misery and plague sweep the lands, and death runs with them. Apparently brought by mysterious bearded foreigners. This plague is not something our elders have ever heard of, and no answers in our ancestors' memories could help us face the catastrophe if it reaches our settlements. Will our people perish, or will we somehow resist when this walking death reaches us? So we have two different sets of actions for colonizing and native countries. So if you are a native country, you can procure some remedies, which is a bit similar to the Black Death procure remedies, I imagine. Spend some money and you gain medicaments. Segregating the infected, again, you have that in the Black Death situation as well. Social actions, present scapegoats, again, this is also in the Black Death situation. This one is for if you are a native. Okay, so this one seems to be if you are a colonizer. This one for if you are a native. You can sponsor spiritual protection, and you can have no contact with outsiders. Probably a good idea. Excuse me. So, sponsoring spiritual protection, you will gain it forever. No notice on what that does, but then you pay for it forever. No idea what that does either. I mean, it's probably money, but Yeah. As the clergy say, illnesses are caused by spiritual imbalance in the body of the sick or by the breaking of a taboo that allowed foul spirits to take hold of the body of the guilty. We can fight the disease by beckoning the most powerful spirits and making sacrifices that compel them to cast their protections over our people. And then no contact with outsiders, you get no contact with outsiders. Be nice if we saw what these modifiers actually specifically said. It's literally just a, this is a tooltip. You lock the tooltip in place and then hover over no contact with outsiders. You get another tooltip. Tooltips and tooltips, really nice innovation. The disease will spread through the native population pretty much as you saw with the Black Death, but in a much deadlier way. Up to 90% of the native population, potentially. And when we're talking about the Black Death, it's not as deadly as it was when we played the game back in May. Back then, we were losing 150 million people. Mostly that is because of China and from Delhi. The AI weren't doing things exactly correctly. There was some issues there. What it looks like right now is we generally lose about 50 million people worldwide to the Black Death, which still results in Europe in you losing about a third of your population. As the Empire of the Romans, I went from 1.5 million to a little under a million. Or a little under 1.5 million to a little under a million. So it is still very, very deadly. It's still, rough. The total hasn't changed. But that's like 30%, 33%, maybe. Like here, 90% is just literally apocalyptic, right? So Great Pestilence, you can see how many people it's killed in total. It has not started very long ago, right? So only 5,000 so far. But then it spreads. It'll spread fast, and it will just be rough. It will be incredibly rough. Losing 800 people in Cusco, that's in 1 month. And this will be, this will be a very big tooltip if you are playing a native and you have managed to unify an area. Random events will also pop up, both for colonizing and for native countries. In Hunt for a Cause, the anger and fear in the population of Santo Domingo de Guzman have reached a point at which it can no longer be contained and must be projected outwards onto others. Someone needs to become the cause for the plague, and someone must pay. Be it the poor, the ugly, or any number of minorities, the mass demand that a group be hunted and prosecuted for bringing this plague upon us. We can either help organize the event and control it, or we can try to stop the violence across castes only for it to be directed on us. So if you organize a hunt, you lose some Republican tradition, and you lose some tribesmen. I don't know how many. Doesn't say how many, but they'll perish. If you don't blame your problems on others, you lose some stability but gain some Republican tradition. The wrath of the Great Pestilence is decimating all castes in Santo Domingo de Guzman. Even the holy men of our Clarezia are not being protected from the disease. Their loss is felt twice, as many villages no longer have anybody that can officiate proper burial rites, dooming the newly dead to wander lost as vengeful spirits and unable to cross to the great beyond. You can help them, or there's nothing you can do. A great pestilence has run its course unhampered. It has brought dead and devastation to an entire continent. It should be death and devastation. Without any care for morals or frontiers. Now, many once lush and vibrant cities lie deserted and decadent. Kingdoms and empires are tumbling into disaster, ready to be killed by their enemies, if there are any still standing. So you become more spiritualist in that regard. As the Great Pestilence takes hold of our population in Quillarumiok, I fucking nailed that one, holy hell. Our efforts to curtail its advance are proving futile, and many scared families all over our country have decided to abandon settlements and towns and isolate themselves in hills and forests, disregarding their duties to their farms and to the government. This spreading of the peasants will make it very difficult for our representatives to assert the will of the state over them. You can force them back to work, or let them do as they please. This will be something like centralization, social policy versus decentralization, probably some stability in there, probably something or other. Authoritarianism, probably in there. Not authoritarianism, sorry. It's aristocracy versus plutocracy, maybe. Free subjects versus serfs, possibly, something like that. So, on Friday, there'll be a Tinto flavor about Portugal. Looking forward to that. Next, Tinto Talks, we've got the Columbian Exchange, let's go, and the Colonial Revolution as well. Very cool. Before we get to that, though, there have been some developer comments and responses and replies and all of that good stuff. So let's take a look at a few of those. Will there be content about the colonization of the Canary Islands? It was a friction point between Portugal and Castile that led to the Treaty of Alcacovas and Toledo. While it's true there's no scripted content about it, and it's instead driven mechanically, think that we're in 1337 and the discovery of the Micronesian Islands is not even close. Fair enough. So the treaty is not automatically between Portugal and Castile. No, it is not. Yes, it is in fact dynamic. It could be between England and France, if they are the first two to reach the New World and colonize in a relatively close proximity. Will AI countries go for a historical treaty? Do natives have any chance of doing better than historical? So what do you mean by historical? If you mean the division made by Castile and Portugal, then no, it is dynamic. So it could go... You could get a line that is the same as the line that Portugal and Castile drew, but it is dynamic, so you know that line can shift and change during the situation itself. Natives have a chance of doing better. In the hands of the player, yes, but it still will be challenging. I mean... Even if you do everything perfectly, you bank up your hospitals, your medicaments, you do all the right steps, you're still going to lose a hefty, huge-ass chunk of your population. And, I mean, recovering from that will be the challenge, I think. What happens to the treaty when one of the two sides changes religion? Does it become void? Great question. If it happens in the ratification phase, it will end automatically and the remaining country will get the entire sphere of influence. If it happens in the second phase, that country will be kicked out of the situation, ceasing to be a signatory country and ceasing to participate in its mechanics. Then the other signatory country would inherit all its claims and the entire world partition, and then the situation would finish normally. If a Catholic country annexes one of the signatory countries, it will replace it. If one of the signatories ceases to exist for another reason, then the behavior is similar to the one above. Very nice information there. Question related to Tordesillas. Do you count countries under a PU for the treaty? Yes, they are still separate countries. So if Castile has a personal union with Portugal and Castile, say, becomes the senior partner, it doesn't matter. You will still have the treaty if it's Castile and Portugal that go colonizing. Finally, is it only limited to 2 countries that get to claim areas from the beginning? I know the likelihood of more countries knowing about the Americas was limited, but is it possible to script more? Yes, they can still colonize normally and violate the treaty, but they won't be able to claim areas themselves. That's restricted to the countries that become the signatories of the treaty. Yeah, interesting stuff. I think my main point of contention, my main issue is still with the Treaty Tordesillas is how does it function when it comes to other people? They can still colonize normally is what it says here, but in the dev diary it says there's a ban on other Catholics colonizing, so I would like a little bit of clarification on that point, please. But otherwise, you know, I haven't done a huge amount of colonization so far in my time with Europa Universalis 5, but it is something that I will definitely be trying as soon as we get an updated version of the Influencer branch. At the moment, there is an issue with our branch that makes it a little bit difficult to start the colonization, or it makes the AI having trouble with it. But they're working on it, so hopefully I'll get to try out the full colonization experience soon. But I'm looking forward to that day. Can't say when that's going to be. I just can't. But anyway, that is enough for the Tinto Talks. I really need to say Tinto Talks, not the Developer Diary, because there is also the Developer Diary for Population and Living World. Now, this is not... my vibes with it is it's not for the people who've been following Tinto Talks from the very beginning. It's still interesting stuff, right? There's still some new information in here, but it's also just... Hi, we're starting from scratch. This is like a developer diary to showcase the game that you all have a ton of information about to the world. What the new things are is, you know, if mechanics have been changed, then the Tinto Talk for Population will be different from the developer diary on Population Living World. My question is, do you want me to go over this one with fine-tooth comb in a new video? I'm willing to. I'm not sure if there is much like new information in here that we don't already know. but it is something I'm willing to do if there is demand. And also, they also put out a accompanying video for every one of the new Tinto developer diaries. Very nicely done. You should go watch it if you have not already. But yeah, that's where I am going to leave this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We're gonna get some more stuff soon. The Portuguese flavor diary, I'm looking forward to that, and Colombian exchange, I'm very, very excited for. So, if you enjoyed the video, like the video, comment on the video. If you haven't already pre-purchased EU5 and you are a pre-purchaser person, of course, no pressure on that one. Then use my link, please. That'd be kind of nice. That'd be kind of cool. I would appreciate it. And I'm gonna go. Bye-bye.